Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to be diving deep into strength training for kids and teens.
Yeah, we're looking at a really cool meta-analysis from pediatrics.
This was a really interesting
It's
one.
like,
I mean, it got picked up by the New York Times, so,
uh,
it's going to be
yeah,
a big deal.
it's a really big deal.
So,
It looked at 60 years worth of research.
whoa, 60 years.
Yeah, from like 1949 to 2009, and combined the results of 42 studies.
42 studies on kids and strength training.
Yeah, a lot of data, so it really gives us a way more solid picture of what's going on than just one study could.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a lot more data than we usually get for these deep dives.
Yeah, and it even made the New York Times. Like, how often does that happen
Exactly.
now?
Like you said, it gives us more comprehensive view. And
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so impactful.
Yeah.
So what is like the big finding here?
Well, it turns out that resistance training is actually super effective for kids and teens. Like, they see some serious strength gains. Okay, but like, that's not totally surprising, right? I mean, we know exercise is good for you.
Well, it's not just about proving it works. It's more about how much stronger they're getting.
Oh, okay. So, like, how much of a difference are we talking?
The kids who did resistance training ended up like 1.12 standard deviations stronger than the ones who didn't.
Standard deviations. I don't know if our listeners are all familiar with that term.
Oh, right. Sorry. Imagine like all these kids lined up from weakest to strongest.
Okay.
The ones who did the resistance training, they're not just a little bit stronger. They're way ahead of the curve compared to the others.
Oh, so like a big difference.
Yeah.
So it's not just like they can lift a little more weight. It's like they're significantly stronger overall.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But what about age? Like, does puberty play a role here?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
You'd think like right after puberty, all those hormones would lead to crazy strength gains.
Right.
But actually it was super consistent, like no sudden jump in strength.
It was just kind of like a steady increase as they got older.
Interesting. So it's not all about testosterone then.
It seems like consistent training, like at least twice a week, is more important than just hitting puberty.
Wow, that kind of changes how I think about all this.
Yeah.
I always thought those teenage growth spurts were like the key to strength.
Me too.
Really interesting, huh?
Totally.
So this means that kids can get stronger without having to wait for that big hormonal shift.
Yeah, it seems that way. It's more about consistent effort than anything else.
Okay, so we've got these kids getting stronger, but how does that actually happen? Like, are they bulking up like adults do?
That's a really good question, and it turns out it's a really good question, and it turns out that's not really the case.
Wait, really? So they're getting stronger without getting bigger muscles?
Yeah, it seems like adults build strength mostly through hypertrophy, getting bigger muscles.
Oh, getting ripped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with kids, it's different. They don't seem to add bulk the same way we do.
So then how are they getting stronger?
It's actually pretty cool. It's like their nervous system is learning to use their muscles better.
Oh, so like their brain is figuring out how to make the most of the muscle they've got.
Exactly, yeah.
That makes sense. I guess kids are still developing in so many ways.
Right, and that includes their nervous system.
So it's not just about building new muscle. It's more about tapping into the potential that's already there.
Yeah, think of it like this. The muscle has a certain amount of strength, but it needs the nervous system to tell it how to use that strength.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
And it's kind of like they're liberating the strength that's already in the muscle.
I like that.
Yeah.
So basically they're getting stronger by becoming more coordinated and efficient.
Exactly.
Which makes me think about like how much kids' lifestyles have changed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, they don't have to do as much physical labor as they used to.
Right. They're not out there chopping wood or, working on the farm.
Right, like all that stuff that used to build strength naturally.
Yeah, it's like modern life has kind of taken away some of those opportunities.
And that might be why we're seeing more and more kids with injuries, especially in sports.
Yeah, if they're not used to using their bodies in a variety of ways.
Their muscles aren't prepared for the demands of the sport.
Right, and then they're more likely to get hurt.
Which brings up another important point. Safety.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There are so many myths out there about strength training being dangerous for kids.
Yeah, people worry about it stunting their growth or hurting their growth plates.
Right, but this meta-analysis actually found that...
But it's totally safe as long as it's supervised properly.
Okay, so we're not talking about throwing kids into a weight room and letting them figure it out on their own.
No.
It's more about having a qualified coach or trainer who knows how to adapt the exercises for young bodies.
Exactly. Someone who can teach them proper technique and make sure they're not pushing themselves too hard.
Yeah, because I'm imagining age-appropriate strength training is probably pretty different from what adults do. Like, are we even talking about weights here?
Not necessarily. There are tons of ways to create resistance without using weights,
Oh, okay, like what?
like resistance bands or medicine balls.
Those are good options.
Yeah, even bodyweight exercises like push-ups and squats.
Oh, right, so they can still build strength without having to use any equipment.
Exactly. The body doesn't really know the difference between a dumbbell and a resistance band. No.
Right, it just responds to the challenge.
Yeah.
So even something as simple as playing on a jungle gym could be considered strength training.
In a way, yeah.
I like that.
It's all about using your body weight and engaging your muscles.
That makes me think of something Dr. Feigenbaum said in that New York Times article.
Oh, yeah.
He mentioned that ages 7 to 12 might be a particularly good time to start strength training.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it makes sense to me. Kids are so adaptable at that age,
Yeah, they're like sponges.
and they're not as self-conscious about their bodies yet. So they're more likely to just have fun with it and not worry about looking a certain way.
Right. It's more about exploration and play,
Exactly.
which is really how it should be at any age.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think what Dr. Feigenbaum was getting at is that there's this window of opportunity.
When kids are especially receptive to learning new movement patterns.
Exactly.
So if we can introduce strength training in a fun and engaging way during those years.
They're more likely to develop good habits that will stick with them for life.
Exactly.
It's kind of like setting them up for success in the long run.
Yeah, and if we can make it fun for them,
They won't even realize they're working out.
right, they'll just think they're playing.
Exactly.
So it's not about pushing them too hard or making them do things they don't enjoy.
It's more about finding ways to make movement a natural part of their lives.
Yeah, and that's a message that I think is really important for everyone, not just kids.
Definitely. We all need to move our bodies in a variety of ways.
It's not just about strength training. It's about overall physical literacy.
Right, being able to move with confidence and competence in different situations.
Which brings us to a bigger question.
Yeah.
If strength training is so beneficial for youth, how can we make it more accessible?
That's a great question, and I think it starts with education.
Like educating parents and coaches.
Yeah, and teachers, and even the kids themselves.
Right, because there's still a lot of misinformation out there.
Definitely.
And then once people understand the benefits and the safety considerations,
We can start to create more opportunities for kids to engage in strength training.
yeah, like incorporating it into school curriculums.
Right, or offering more community programs.
And making sure that those programs are designed with kids in mind.
Yeah, they need to be fun and engaging, not just mini versions of adult workouts.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to make movement enjoyable and accessible for everyone.
I think that's a great place to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
From how kids build strength differently to the importance of proper supervision.
And the need for more accessible programs.
Right, there's so much to consider when it comes to youth strength training.
But the bottom line is that it's a really valuable tool for promoting health and well-being in young people.
And it's something that we should all be thinking about and advocating for.
Absolutely. So as we move into the final part of this deep dive,
I want to leave you with this question.
what are some ways that you can incorporate more movement into your own life?
And how can you help the young people in your life do the same?
These are important questions to ponder.
Because when we prioritize movement,
We're not just building stronger bodies.
we're building stronger minds and spirits.
And that's something worth striving for. So we've talked a lot about the science and the benefits of strength training for kids and teens.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
But now I kind of want to shift gears and think about like the bigger picture.
Yeah, where do we go from here?
Exactly. Like if we know this is so good for them,
How do we actually make it happen?
right? How do we get more kids involved in strength training in a safe and effective way? It is, but I think it starts with awareness.
Yeah, getting the word out there.
Like letting parents and educators know that this isn't just about bulking up or becoming a professional athlete.
Right, it's about overall health and well-being.
Exactly. It's about giving kids the tools they need to move through the world with confidence and strength.
I love that. Tools for life.
And it's not just about physical strength either.
Right, it's mental and emotional too.
Like when a kid learns to do a push-up or climb a rope,
They're not just building muscle.
they're building resilience.
Yeah, they're learning to overcome challenges.
And that's a skill that will serve them well in all aspects of their lives.
Absolutely. It's about empowering them to believe in themselves.
And to feel capable of achieving their goals.
So how do we actually create that kind of environment for kids?
Well, I think it starts with providing them with opportunities to move their bodies in a variety of ways.
Yeah, not just organized sports, but also free play and exploration.
Like letting them climb trees and build forts and just run around and be kids.
Yeah, exactly. Those activities are so important for developing strength and coordination.
And they're also just plain fun.
Which is key.
Yeah, if we can make movement enjoyable,
Kids are more likely to stick with it.
it won't feel like a chore.
It'll just be a natural part of their day.
And that's what we want,
Just to
right?
create a culture where movement is celebrated.
Where it's seen as essential for a happy and healthy life.
Not just for kids, but for everyone.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive,
I want to leave you with this thought.
what small step can you take today to make movement a bigger part of your life?
And how can you encourage the young people around you to do the same?
Maybe it's going for a walk.
Or signing up for a dance class.
Or just playing tag with your kids in the park.
Whatever it is.
Make it fun.
Make it meaningful.
And make it a habit.
Because movement is a gift.
And it's one that we should all cherish.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.